What I've learned returning to cycling in my 70s, part 2. In episode 1, I shared how at 70 I'm back on the bike after decades away. But the moment I started riding again, it hit me. Cycling has changed and I've changed. So in this video, I want to share what I've learned as an older cyclist, the adjustments, the surprises, and the truths I've had to accept. Let's get into it. When I came back, I bought a gravel bike. It seemed like the perfect solution. Safe, stable, off the busy roads. But it didn't quite click. The rough terrain made me nervous. I'm not super confident with my bike handling skills, and as an older rider, I was concerned about falling, especially out in the bush on my own. This is not how I imagined it would be. Anyway, I spent most of my time on bike paths and I missed the feeling of speed, the tempo of riding on the road over long distances, which I could get on a gravel bike, sure, but I wanted more. I bought a second-hand 2018 Fuji Gran Fondo with comfortable endurance geometry as it was described, and without understanding it at the time, it was a good setup for me as an older rider with less flexibility. But even with all that tech, it was clear I couldn't just train through hills like I once did and expected. Even with a great bike, I struggled to get anywhere near my past ability and to understand why I was slower and had less endurance. I went online looking for answers.
Want to ride fast when you're 50 and beyond? Sure do, coach. Well, stop training like you're 20.
Straight away, someone mentioned Zone 2 and I answered back, what's that?
Zone 2.
I sort of looked it up.
So the theory goes, train for 80% of your time in Zone 2 and you'll become more efficient at utilising fat for energy and at higher intensities. Plus, you'll also be able to clear lactate faster, raise your FTP and even live longer. Apparently.
I discovered how riding at low to moderate intensity is a kind of building block for cyclists. The hardest lesson that I had to learn or to come to terms with is that I'm simply older, and even though in my head I had the stamina and strength of a younger rider, it weren't going to happen. My learning journey went to a whole new level and has stayed there, and I've been gobbling it up. Okay, what else is different? There are a ton more cyclists on the road. They're everywhere. My ego takes a pounding every time someone passes me and I have to reassure myself that they're half my age. 50 kilometres downhill feels way too fast and dangerous, whereas in the past 70 was a goal. 30 kilometres an hour on a nice flat road is hard to achieve without a tailwind or blowing up. I don't feel light on the pedals like I remember. It's hard to look behind me to check for traffic. I'm hyper aware of vehicles and pedestrians. Getting a good position on the bike and feeling comfortable is elusive. I don't remember needing more than a banana and a bottle of water, even on long rides. Now I need 60 grams of carbs and a bottle of water an hour, or I start to worry I won't make the distance. What's objectively different? You all know this to be true. Headwinds are stronger, hills steeper and longer, 20 kilometres has become 30. The potholes and obstacles are bigger and there are more of them. What's also new? You probably know about these things already. Disc brakes are awesome. The gearing on bikes suits a wider range of fitness level, which has opened up cycling to many more people. E-bikes, I'll be needing one later. Rechargeable lights, I know it's a small thing, but not having to spend a small fortune on batteries to be able to ride at night helps to keep us on the road for longer, and lights are so much more powerful, making it safer for us as well. Even though I haven't tried electric shifting, it sounds great, maybe on my next bike. Wider tyres are more comfortable and feel safer.
Road bike tyres. They used to be thin because everyone thought thin meant fast. But then, all of a sudden, some people came along and said that wider tyres are faster and more comfortable and offer more grip.
Action cameras, not just to record a sticky situation, but we can now share our 3-hour rides with our partners. Bike computers, the amount of data they collect is awesome, even if, like me, you're not a data nerd. Downloading data to apps and analysing your ride is awesome, and my partner is very impressed with my ability. I use Intervals ICU for the detailed picture. Ride with GPS gives me a good overview and helps me to plan rides. and Strava because it's the Facebook of cycling apps. I have to say, I don't know what a lot of the data means, but I like poking around and having a look. I've also been using ChatGPT to help me understand what some of it means, like my TSS score or TRIMP. I still don't know. Training tools and apps like Trainer Road look impressive, but I don't ride enough to warrant the expenditure. YouTube channels like GCN are great sources of information and entertainment. There are fellow cyclists telling their stories like Mitch Boyer in the US.
One of the most prestigious bicycle manufacturers in the world invited me to join members of the press in Switzerland to ride an unreleased bike. I probably should have told them I'm not a bicycle journalist. I'm a YouTuber who wears his helmet indoors.
Phil Cavell's book, The Midlife Cyclist, is well written and illuminating. Buy it just to read the chapter, Will I Die? I do have a power meter, but mostly I'm guided by my heart rate. While I do have training zones set up, I find it hard to stay within limits because I keep riding faster and harder like I'm still 35. The online bike fit app, My Velo Fit, is useful and probably no worse than the 3 professional bike fits I've had. I'm finally starting to feel comfortable on the bike now after much micro adjusting. My riding fitness is building way slower than I expected, and I've read this often. It does seem to take a long time. I've started to do interval training, which will pick up when I'm preparing for a big ride in October. These days I ride more with intention, and by that I mean making sure I get on the bike often because fitness falls off quickly. Rides are structured around easy long days to build endurance and shorter and harder rides to build aerobic capacity or strength for hills. And I'm also looking after nutrition on and off the bike. I also understand that everyone has their riding goals and that there's no right way to be doing something, and I'm still learning. Until recently, I wasn't aware of the need to have more protein in my diet, especially for us as we get older. Protein's important to build muscle strength and also because older bodies absorb less. Where do I ride now? From home, I can easily ride 10 to 15 kilometres in both directions along the bay. Occasionally I take the punt across the Yarra River to Williamstown and the wetlands out west. I've also ridden in local fondos, the Cadell Evans People's Ride, the Great Ocean Otway Classic, Amy's Grand Fondo, and last year I went on a 450 kilometre supported ride through the Flinders Ranges in the Australian outback. It's winter now, so there are no organised events. My focus is on Zone 2, low intensity rides. My next challenge, Amy's Grand Fondo in October this year. It's 122 kilometres with 1900 metres of elevation. In my first attempt last year, I took the sag wagon for part of it, so I'm determined to do the whole ride this time. At the beginning of this recent cycling journey, on Facebook I pondered if this would become a passion or an obsession, and I'd have to say it's landed firmly on the side of obsession. Once again, it would seem I'm all in, but I won't buy a bike shop this time. If this resonated with you, please consider liking, subscribing and sharing your story in the comments. I'd love to build a community of riders navigating life, fitness and fun well into our 60s, 70s and beyond. Because as Greg LeMond said, it never gets easier, we just get faster. And I'd add, hopefully, we keep riding further. Until next time, cheers.